Losing my last hardcore world made me realize how much I wanted a forever world in Minecraft, a survival world that I could play on for years and years. So, a few months later, I created a new world and set sail for this massive island continent, my new home. You're about to watch the first 1,000 days on this island, building cities, castles, entire forests, and starting my most important world ever. And to keep myself playing this world for years and years, there's a really interesting twist to this world, which I will explain in a second. It was a long boat ride over here, and it's already almost nighttime of day one. So let's swim on over to this village and maybe find a place to stay just for a night. I don't think they'll mind. What is going on with this guy's house? Who built this? Did you build this? This is terrible. This is not up to code. Hold on, I know the sun's going down, but I do see a ruined portal right there. I have to check it out. And maybe get a better lay of the land in the process. That's a couple pieces of iron and flint and steel and horse armor. I'll definitely take that. I'm gonna snag a bed before it gets too dark. Gotta fight him off. Gotta defend the village. Maybe this guy will do it. Yep. Maybe he's a little bit better at it than I am. Now, there's actually a really interesting twist about this world I am super excited about. The land we're on right now is actually part of a huge island, more like a continent, in the middle of the ocean. And I want to spend the next many years of my life transforming the entire thing. This island is thousands of blocks wide, but having the constraints of sticking to this island is really going to keep me motivated in this one world. Ooh, I am not going down 3 creepers. What I'm going to do right now is just whip up a couple furnaces. And in order to start such a long-term world like this, I want to make a really cool starter base, and I have something really unique in mind, and I'm gonna make this coast area our home for our starter base and stuff like that. What if instead of mining we went and tried to dive for shipwrecks, try to find at least 24 iron? Looking around, don't see any shipwrecks yet. Gotta go for air. I think we'll just take a boat. My goal, find at least a half a stack of iron and maybe a couple diamonds. You never know. Nice big shipwreck here, and I'm praying this thing has a good amount of iron because we need it. Ooh, yeah. 8 iron plus some change, emeralds, gold, all that. Yeah, I like it a lot. Buried treasure map. Okay, let's check this out. Hold on, we should actually try to find this. Craft a shovel and start digging around here to try to find it. I know about the whole F3 method, but that's boring. I think I see it. And dive down again. Oh, no way. And why don't we use our brand new iron tools to dig ourselves a little bit of a day 1 starter base? Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much as starter as it gets. Yeah, it's definitely as starter as it gets, but I just want to have a place to stay because my starter base is going to take quite a long time to build, and I at least want to have some place to call home, even if it literally is a cutout in the mound next to this village. It is a little bland though. Hold on, I have an idea. Perfect. Now we can display our buried treasure map. And I almost forgot. Let me use all my hard-earned iron to craft up a full set of armor and complete our set of tools and make a bucket because buckets are pretty cool. I think it'd be smart to next up work on some farms and probably some animal pens as well. Is there any wheat in this village? Surely they have those big hay bale piles that every village has. No? Looks like we're finding another village. I have so many insane plans for this world. Terraforming, building, villages, cities, so much cool villages. Oh yes, there's a village right there. And you're just gonna have to stick around to see over the next few years what kind of stuff I can accomplish. So hey, why not subscribe? The videos are only gonna get better from here. You wouldn't want to miss out, would you? And oh my gosh, is there an ice spikes biome on this island? That's like the rarest biome in the game, and it's just casually on this island. This is so cool. Finally though, I can sleep this very long night away. Oh no. Yeah, it had to be done. Sorry, man. Whoa, what? 3 diamonds? That's enough for a diamond pickaxe right there. Obsidian, iron, and even 4 oak saplings. Just what I needed. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. I was looking for hay bales, but thankfully there's at least a few over here. This village is cool and all, but I just gotta take a minute to check out this ice spikes biome. I don't think I've ever seen one of these things in survival. On my way home, I stopped to chop a few acacia trees for a small detail I wanted to add to the starter hole, and then I almost died trying to get a music disc from a creeper, which I did eventually. I spent spent one of my like 4 diamonds on a jukebox to play the music disc, and then I got to work on a little canopy to go over the front of our starter base. I mean, yeah, there we go. That's decent at least. It's something. Now we traveled all that way for wheat. Let's set up our animal pens. And we've got to spend some time corralling a bunch of different sheep and cows up here. Now, being on an island, being by the ocean gives me one idea for a starter base in mind. Some sort of lighthouse. And I think it'd be cool to build the lighthouse first and then add a house or two attached to it as a place to actually live. And we can, of course, make the lighthouse work with the brand new copper bulbs. I think that'd be super cool. And as you might expect, there's quite a few different materials we need to gather for this. All right, time to start collecting those blocks. Let's start with some of the easier stone types. I'm going to try to find that glowing cave from earlier. Can we make that jump? I'm not gonna risk it. Whee! There we go. No! How I survived 1,000 days in hardcore Minecraft twice? I do not know. The first cave I step into, I immediately explode. Anyways, where was I? Oh yeah. Can't forget about diorite either. Like, I actually don't hate it as much as most YouTubers though. I need to head deeper into these caves and hopefully find some tuff. I need quite a bit of tuff for the lighthouse as well. Whoa. To be fair, I did need a little bit of deep slate, so this will probably check that off the list. Ooh, diamonds. Nice. A lot of them too. Nice. Ooh, I see some over there. We just gotta light all of this up and we should be good. And while I'm at it, I should probably give some history to the like idea behind this series in the first place. This isn't actually the first Island Craft world. About 3 years ago, 3 summers ago, I made a world with the same exact goal. Spawn on a giant island and transform it.
Hello everyone, my name is Legend, and welcome to episode 1 of Island Craft, the series where I'm going to be transforming this entire Minecraft island.
I didn't make it very far, only about 5 episodes.
We're just gonna do a quick jump cut, and boom, the farm is done. It's very, very rudimentary. At least I have a small source of bone meal. I'll definitely upgrade this to like one of those stray farms later on. And something I want to get done is over here in this whole area. In fact, I want to transform this entire area with fields and different crops and all sorts of stuff.
Adding fields like this is one of my favorite details to do in worlds. I might do this again in the new series. And I definitely wasn't a particularly good builder at the time, but it's still some of my fondest memories of playing single player. In fact, I even thought about continuing that world, but the island is just too small and too deserty for our purposes anyways. I'm just super excited to continue my idea from 3 years ago and see what we can accomplish. Man, why does this stupid lichen look so much like diamonds? It always like throws me off. My iron pickaxe is about to break, so let's craft a diamond one actually. Let's try to get out of this cave, which might be harder than I thought. I kind of trapped myself down here, or maybe not. I also haven't been sleeping, so all the villagers are probably dead. Yeah, there we go. No, don't. Oh, okay. We've got a bunch more diamonds now, so I'll craft an axe and a shovel, which will be perfect for our next little venture we've got to do here. We got to get some terracotta, which means trying to aimlessly find a mesa. My running theory is that there's snow that way, which we know, and there's savannah this way, which we also know, so most likely our best bet is going this way. There it is. Check it out. We found a mesa. I figured there'd be one this direction. Nice. To be fair, we walked in a straight line for a pretty long time. Red terracotta collected, let's head home. Our second to last blocks were mangrove and spruce wood. Both were pretty easy. I just found a mega tiger for the spruce wood, and for the mangrove wood, I think I traded with a villager, got one of those proppy eels, and then I just grew up some of those. And our final item, copper bulb. How the heck do I make that? I'm assuming if I get some copper in my inventory, it'll like give me the recipe, I'm hoping, because I have absolutely no clue how to craft that. Maybe if I craft a piece of copper. Copper bulb, okay, jeez. Why is that so expensive? Oh my gosh. Looks like we are going to the nether for blaze rods to make a light. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna put on my iron chest plate for this because my gear is still terrible and I don't want to lose all my stuff to lava, which is probably gonna happen. Let's head up here to repair this portal, which shouldn't take too long. We just gotta rip out a couple of these crying obsidian. I'm worried. I haven't seen what the nether looks like on this seed yet, so it could be really good or really, really bad. Don't be basalt delta. Don't be basalt delta. Okay, this is even worse. We are in a cave thing. Time to pick a direction, I guess. And no way, there's one right there. Yes, I think that's a fortress, right? Yeah, there it is. Perfect. This is really scary. This can't end well. Oh boy, here we go. Ow, ow, he just hit me for half my health. Oh my gosh. Ow, 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 ow. Oh my gosh. The copper bulbs cannot be worth all of this. Why didn't they make it glowstone or redstone or something? Ow, 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 ow. No, I'm gonna burn to death. I'm gonna burn to death. Oh no. And it's over. Oh man. Man, I really hope some of my stuff avoided that lava, but I'm not gonna get my hopes up. Come on, come on. Okay, there's quite a bit of stuff here. I don't see a single diamond tool. Don't tell me every single one of my, yep. Every single one of my diamond tools fell in the lava and absolutely nothing else. No, not gas too. Are you serious? Yes! Yes, okay, we got 4 blaze rods. That's good enough for me. I'm leaving. I need to find some more ooh, I actually need calcite. This is perfect. Let me break into this geode here and collect myself a little bit of calcite. This will add a lot to the build, I think. Okay, I think I just found a trial chamber. The problem is I'm not on the newest update. This is a very early version of the trial chamber here with not all the loot in it and stuff. I wasn't planning on raiding one of these, but I also know that I could probably get some of those copper bulbs from here if I'm really careful. Or maybe this is just a big block of tough... Well, okay, there we go. Things are not looking particularly good for me. I'm just gonna steal all their lamps if I can. This is gonna save me so much time. And screw it, I'm stealing the floor too. They can't stop me. I'm sure they didn't really need their floorboards anyways. They're all mine now. We can wax 4 of these copper bulbs, and then the other 4 I'm gonna keep oxidizing. We finally have all our materials so we can start working on the first part of our starter base. I'm so excited, and I think I want to put it somewhere by the shore here, up there, or actually probably right here. So this guy's house is gonna have to go. Sorry, man. With the house going, I want to put the lighthouse right in the middle here, but I actually want to raise it up a few blocks. I think maybe up to here or so. There we go. That looks good. Now we need to raise up the terrain to match this. And I'll do that with a combination of dirt and some large stone boulders. I think a copper floor would actually look nice in here. I never use copper. Okay. I never use copper because it's too hard to get, but with these new trial chambers, it's not actually too bad. Yeah, raising this up just a couple blocks made a huge difference. This terraforming really helped. So now we can start building up the actual structure here. It has a foundation completely made out of tuff, and all the new tuff blocks that I really like. These are the best blocks I've added to the game for a long time. As we head up the lighthouse here, I'm going to be using the more classic, like red and white color scheme. And it's going to take me a sec because this thing is very tall. I want to install the whole mechanism kind of thing for the light up here. Okay, I think this is working. I set up like a repeater clock going around in a circle like this, and it needs to power that. I'm pretty sure if I place a torch there, or not a torch, a target block. And then up here, it's connected to these 2 lights bouncing back and forth between brighter and dimmer to give it the illusion that it's kind of spinning around, I guess. And let me just throw a quick roof on this and call it done. To finish off the lighthouse, I added in this nice blue flag and a couple of these spruce bits poking out, a little spruce deck to look over the water, and this is how it's looking so far. The lighthouse looks good, but we definitely need to add a house to it. So I think we can move on to the second phase of our starter base, building a house attached to it right around this area. I'm gonna try to push myself to do something I'm not very good at: diagonal buildings. I think I want to go like 1, 2, 5, 6, 7 blocks out like that, I guess. Something like this should be perfect. We'll do yet another tough foundation here. Yeah, I think I like that. Let's go ahead and throw a floor on this too. Just out of the same copper as before. Time to start building up the walls. I'm going to use a combination of birch and sandstone probably. And for the windows, I want to try to use these new copper grates because they're new and I like their texture for something like this. Yeah, there we go. And let's put a deep slate roof on this. I'm building up some chimneys here, which is a very painful process. The starter base looks great until you look at the massive chests I still have left here. Craft it all down into chests. Okay, there we go. Everything is sorted into these chests. This is definitely a temporary solution. I'm gonna outgrow this super fast, but for now it works fine. To start this interior in here, I want to make a little light that actually works based on the time of day. Whenever this daylight sensor thing gives a signal, it should power the lamp the opposite way and turn it off, I think. Let's grab some of the stuff from our starter base, like the jukebox, the map. Next to our jukebox, we're gonna have a little chest to store all of our discs. The interior is looking a little bit nicer, but I'm gonna save decorating it for the next episode because I have a pretty good idea for decoration. We do have a problem though. I'm pretty sure every single villager in the village has died. I'm pretty sure over time every single villager's gotten infected and now they're all gone. We're gonna have to do something about that, but why would we do something about that when we can do something else? It's time for the final phase of this episode. Bring in life to this area. I want to take inspiration from our first season base and add a few real small crop fields and a couple custom trees. I want to do all of that up here, which means I want to have a path kind of snaking up this hill here. I eventually want to use a different block than path blocks, but I think they're a pretty good placeholder for right now because we are pretty poor. All right, we got a little bit of a simple path here. Now let's smooth out this really weird hill. There we go. That looks pretty good. I've managed to smooth out this whole area to create a much more gradual slope up here for farmland. And I think up here, I want to put a nice big oak tree. Man, I love how this tree turned out. I can't be doing replay mod right now because I'm in the brand new update and it's not out yet. But this tree turned out so cool. Trees are something I've been slowly working on and evolving over the last many series I've done. And I'm really liking the point I'm at right now. There's a really big trend in Minecraft right now to use tough and tough walls in your tree, but I thought I didn't want to be like everybody else, so I used jungle wood instead. Kind of a mossy green feel. I like it. And while I was getting the jungle wood, I found this dude. Pretty cool. He was in the sparse jungle. But now with the power of one more jump cut, our mini farms are complete. Here is what we ended up with. I really like how these little fields turned out, but they're a good way for me to grab a bunch of a crop if I ever need it for some reason. And the sunflowers are definitely a nice touch too, pointing towards the ocean. And while looking at it from a distance, I am so proud with what we've built. And I'm excited to be in this world, hopefully making or at least a little bit more consistent videos because I have so many amazing plans for this world. With our lighthouse and our iron armor, but there's two major problems I want to solve today. First off, the villagers in this village are no longer with us. No, don't. Oh, I want to transform this village and make it not so dangerous anymore, but I also want to upgrade our armor by visiting all 5 underground structures in Minecraft. Is that too much to do in 100 days? Probably. We have a lot to get done in the next 100 days, although it's technically day like 80 something. I'm just going to have the counter say day 1 for the sake of this video. And if I'm going to mostly upgrade this village in 100 days, we're gonna need a lot better tools. I think the first step is going to be doing some mining here. So let's spend some time making an entrance here that can take us down to the deep slate layer. Mining all the way down to the bottom of the world is pretty time consuming, especially with an iron pickaxe. My plan is to eventually replace this with a minecart track, but I don't have nearly enough gold or iron for, actually I don't have any gold or iron to do that. My mining was cut short by this zombie spawner that nearly actually killed me. It's kind of embarrassing. I guess that oh jeez. That technically crosses this structure off the list, although I hopefully will find a skeleton one before too long. I continue my tunnel down, nearly falling in lava. Whoa, this is a big lava lake. Okay, I almost just thought I fell in lava there. Before making it to the very bottom of the world, I like mining at negative Y56 or whatever it is. And then I use a trapdoor to doing this mole mining technique. Tunneling through in a 1-block hole like this is really nice for a couple reasons. It's way faster for one thing, but you also don't have to light it up because no mobs can spawn. It's pretty sweet. I spent the next 2 days trying to mine for diamonds. I was trying to get around a half a stack. By day 4, I pretty much got there, but I realized I really want to enchant my stuff now before doing any more mining. I can't take much more. I headed up to the surface and wasted no time crafting a bunch of new diamond armor, the helmet, chest plate, pants, pickaxe, and a new sword. Now I needed XP to enchant my armor. This is about the point where I realized, hey, I want to build a skeleton grinder, but I don't want to find one. It's probably going to take me a dozen days just searching underground aimlessly. So I decided to use seed map to try to find one, and there was actually one pretty close to our spawn right on the shore. So I'm gonna head over there. After gathering all the resources, I headed to the area above the spawner and cleared out a few trees. I'm planning on building a really cool entrance house above the farm soon, and I want to make sure I have a nice big area to do it. But before then, we've got to pillar down a lot. We still got to keep going. It's all the way down at like -10. I finally found the dungeon like in the middle of a full-fledged war. I quickly put an end to that, and I've done around 1 billion of these farms in the past, so I just did it by memory. I started by digging out 4 blocks in every direction from the spawner, which is actually nice because I like building with mossy cobblestone, and this is a great opportunity to collect some. And then from there, I did the basic stuff, making the water streams, the bubble column, and setting up a little primitive kill chamber. It's not pretty yet, at least. I want to try to fix that soon. Let me just put in the hours and get all these tools enchanted. I'm hoping I can get this done in 5 to 10 days. I spent day 10 trying to make it a little easier to get down to the spawner. First, I put in a ladder, but realized that was going to be kind of tedious, so I took the time to actually put in a full bubble elevator. It's something that takes a little time to set up, but it's so worth it in the long run. With an easy way up and down, I began hacking away at the skeletons, quickly realizing, oh wait, that's right, I need an enchantment setup. So it's time for the usuals, you know, breeding cows, orphaning cows, wiping out every known species on our island just for some leather. Minecraft is a really weird game sometimes. I harvested some sugarcane real quick, set up our enchantment station, and for your sanity, I'm gonna summarize the next 10 days that I spent. That's not a joke. Slowly enchanting all our tools. I cannot stress enough how slow this farm was, but I didn't really have any other options. And it'll actually make me feel a whole lot better if you subscribe. You know you want to keep seeing what I do in this world past the 100 days, so subscribe, please. And I was very willing to spend the first 20 days just gearing up. I got up to level 30 by day 12, and my first roll was my pickaxe. It gave me efficiency 4 and a breaking 3. Honestly, not bad. I would hope for like fortune or silk touch, so I just kept re-rolling it. The sword looked promising, but it ended up just giving me Bane of Arthropods. Come on, whoever uses that? Day 13, I enchanted my axe, 14, my helmet, and 15, my boots. On day 17, I decided to take a break from the endless grind and head up to the surface and create a maxed out fortune pickaxe. I'm going to use this to mine diamonds in a second, but I can't forget, I'm going to use that name tag I found in the dungeon to name my dog. For some reason, everybody in the comments wanted me to name the dog Seed, so I guess his name is Seed now. I spent the rest of day 17 mining diamonds, and from there, I figured I'm better off just mining quartz than using the skeleton grinder, which I think was the right call because it allowed me to enchant all the rest of my items. At this point, we are pretty much completely enchanted. However, I couldn't just leave the skeleton grinder like that, just a hole in the ground. So I decided, why not build some sort of house over it? I figured we're by the ocean. We should go for like a fisherman house type theme. And this whole area is kind of a Mediterranean style. So I think something like that could kind of fit in well. In order to grab the resources for that, I hopped in a chest boat and headed over to the savannah on our island. I spent around a day chopping acacia wood, which I do not like chopping acacia wood at all. The trees are so small. There's also a desert pretty near the savannah, so I boated over there. Along my way, I found a pillager, which dropped one of those new ominous bottles. This was actually going to be perfect for our trial chamber later. Then it was time for one of my favorite activities, mining sandstone. Now that we have Instamine, this is so much fun. I also grabbed some orange terracotta while we were nearby, and I was reminded of a feature I'd totally forgotten about, coral. I mean, coral looks really good, especially with all the new tough blocks. This is essentially a whole other stone set. So I harvested quite a bit of that and headed home. When I got home, I spent one final day chopping birch and spruce trees. Enough of this grinding stuff. Let's finally do some building. I set up all our supplies right above the skeleton grinder and got to work. I started by flattening an area to make it a little easier to work with. Then I gave an outline to the first floor out of tuff. I really can't stop building with this stuff. Not to mention, mixing in the coral looked even better than I expected, so, you know. I forgot to hit record for day 28, but I just went and threw on some sandstone for the second floor and then used deep slate for the roof. We're pretty much just mimicking my starter base. But I want to switch it up a bit using some orange blocks for a pop of color. So I used the orange blocks for this extension with this sort of weird diagonal roof. Honestly, it's kind of strange, but I think it makes the build kind of unique. There was also a trident drowned in the river nearby. I was kind of hoping to get a trident. I didn't. To be honest, I don't know how I feel about tridents after last hardcore season. I spent the next 2 or 3 days finishing up the exterior with all the different details. You know, the windows, filling in all the walls, making this little raised balcony thing above the entrance. And by day 34, it was done. So on day 35, I was ready to tackle the interior. And because this is a fisherman's home, I had a really cool idea for a small detail, but we had to catch some fish first. This really long fishing trip gave me about a dozen cod and a dozen salmon. So what I did is I placed these fish on the campfires, and then I extinguished the campfire, so it kind of looks like there's a rack that all the fish are sitting on. I'm not sure why they're there, but they are. I also spammed down a bunch of barrels on this side wall, and also this little cubby area here as like a cooler of some sort. Then for this final open space in the basement, I made this large boat out of 2 of Minecraft's smaller boats. Now come on, that's pretty cool. So we're over a third of the way into this challenge, and And to be honest, we don't have a whole lot to show for it. I mean, we've upgraded our armor, built this house, but if I want to build an entire village and also raid 4 more underground structures, we need to step it up. I think we need to tackle another one of the structures. I want to visit a trail ruin, but having some of those pottery shards to decorate with would be pretty cool. So on day 39, I embarked on the journey towards the trail ruin, which I actually found in the last episode while I was searching for the mesa. Along my way, I stopped to kill a few chickens and crafted 3 brushes. I wanted to be extra prepared, and I'm glad I did, because as I was going, I found my first ever armadillo. Oh, no way. This is actually super exciting for me, because this means we can give our wolf some armor. Maybe we could take Seed to one of the structures later on. Here it is, structure number 2. Let's see what kind of loot we can get from this. Oh, okay, first armor trim already. Nice. I got all 4. Actually, I got 5 armor trims really easily. And then I realized, wait a minute, these things are just filled with bricks. I hate normally getting bricks, especially without villagers. So, you know, why don't we just rip up their floorboards? And man, look at this chest boat. We have so much loot from this. Definitely a good call coming here. I got back to our base on day 41 to decorate all our gear. I added an armor trim to each armor with the emerald color. I think it turned out really cool. I even crafted some dog armor, dyed it lime green, and gave it to Seed. I think he really liked it. We can finally start working on the city, first by clearing the old village out. I started by removing this big tree I left here for some reason, freed this horse, and then used my enchanted shovel to rip away at all of this grass. To be honest, spending the first almost 40 days gearing up was definitely time consuming, but it's so worth it. Now we can just sit back, relax, and rip through this dirt. Yeah, I mean, this should be perfect. I was a little worried we wouldn't have enough room for all the houses I want to build, but with this build, we got more than enough room. Of course, I'm going to throw some cliffs on here a little later, but we're nearly halfway through the challenge, and I really want to focus on raiding all of those structures. I think the next one to tackle would probably be the trial chamber, which is actually really exciting because I haven't raided one in single player yet. And we could buy a map for one, but that sounds like a lot of work when we could just use seed map because I'm lazy. Should we take him to the trial chamber? I don't want him to die, though. I guess we can take him. Yeah, let's go. With the trial chamber found, I right away drank the bad omen, which was actually probably a bad idea. This was way harder than I thought. I mean, I can die no problem. I'm just worried about my dog. Careful, dog. Stay out of the way. Got our first breeze rod. Nice. Ow. Jeez, why is he gold armor? Ah, whoa. Oh, I should have brought some of that armadillo scoot. Here, he shouldn't. Stop. No, my dog. Oh, these guys are so annoying. Okay. That dog actually probably saved my life. I'm glad I brought him. Yes. Yes. Whoa, 2 ominous trial keys. We can open up one of our little key things here. Come on. Come on. Oh, what the heck? The next room over, I managed to find another ominous vault. So, of course, I opened it. Dog, you're standing on my loot. Was that a notch apple? Diamond chest. Ooh, wow. The pots are invisible? Are they really? Oh, they totally are. I don't know what... There's some mod I have on that's doing that. What is this? This room is huge. What? And the room wasn't just huge. It was also deadly. Yeah, it is. Oh, jeez. Oh my gosh, this room is crazy. Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa. This might be too difficult. Water bucket. I'll take it. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, jeez. Oh no, I hit my dog. I'm sorry. Ah! Whoa! Yeah, get him, dog. Careful, dog. Oh no, his armor. Oh no. Alright, time for you to sit this one out, buddy. Yeah. Ooh, nice. Ominous key. Now that my dog is safe, everything is fine, and nothing bad will happen. Oh, dang it. And that is why I quit hardcore mode. Before we left, I made sure to grab the rest of the keys and redeem them, hoping to get an armor trim. Come on, armor trim, armor trim, armor trim. Oh, and the moment of truth. Moment of truth, come on. Ooh, nice. With the whole place looted, I remembered to grab our dog, and then I spent the rest of day 49 heading home. On day 50, I real quick decided to work on replacing my helmet. My helmet actually broke in the trial chamber, which is annoying, but we enchanted it and applied the brand new armor trim to it, which I honestly think is an improvement. Now I'm more ready than ever to get back to building, starting with building the cliff I completely forgot about. This was going to be a pretty large project, so I got to work collecting a lot of stone. Stone mining like this isn't bad. I much prefer having haste 2 beacon, but this is not too horrible. Unfortunately for me, I didn't have soak touch, which meant I had to smelt all this stone. While I waited though, I used what stone I did have to get work right away on all of this terraforming. That terraforming completely changed this area in the best way possible. And we're all set up to build our village. Almost. There's still a couple villager houses in the way. I'm going to get rid of this big one here. And for the well, I'd actually like to keep it to commemorate the old village, but I would like to move it to a more central location. So let's just destroy it. And build it back right here. That should be about centered. And one final thing to clean it up, we need to remove all these path blocks. So I placed blocks on top. I later realized there's an easier way to do it. You can just use a hoe on them and then they'll eventually go away. That's nice to know now. I wish I knew it back then. By day 58, it's resource gathering time. And the nice thing with this style I'm going for, which I should probably describe, I'm going for a Mediterranean sort of style where it's these real white tannish buildings with the orange and gray roofs made out of brick, which means all the houses are going to look somewhat similar, which means I can pretty much gather all the blocks I need in one single swoop. Starting of course with the granite. I spent the morning of day 59 smelting about half of my sandstone in a smooth sandstone. I like to use both pretty equally, so I figured it's good to have both on hand. And my diamond boots were honestly getting a bit low on durability, so I was forced to use a diamond because we definitely do not have mending yet. We'll have to deal with that sometime soon, probably not in this 100 days. Next material I needed was packed mud. I had no idea where a mangrove swamp was. I know there's not one anywhere on the island. So the next best thing is just to dive underwater and start using a water bottle on all the dirt. Honestly, not a terrible method if you just grab a door and start spamming. Day 60 was spent in the caves with some good old diorite mining. Can't get much better than this. It probably can get a little better than this. Okay, you got me. It does get better than diorite mining. It's time to start building. We're starting off with a tough frame for this house using the chiseled tough and the regular variants of the tough. I ended up switching it out for tough brick so to make it a little bit different than our starter house. To be fair, everything's gonna look similar to our starter house, and that's the goal. In a lot of the world, my builds are all over the place, but for this region specifically, I want to have one general block theme, which is not something I ever really did. And I think it's gonna make the town look really cohesive. Speaking of, I got some birch planks out to make a little trim for the second story, or I guess the first story, and then it brought up some sandstone all along the walls. Once the sandstone was in place, I picked a few spots where I thought windows would probably look good, and then I realized, oh right, I need warped wood. So I made a little bit of a quick journey over to a warped forest to hopefully grab some. I want to use it for shutters. I don't know if this is worth it. So I grabbed a bunch of that and headed home. On day 63, I installed our fresh new shutters with a combination of warped trapdoors and signs. I think they turned out really cool. I also put in our door frame and threw on a temporary floor for the interior. Another exterior detail I decided to add was to throw on a nice big white chimney to the side. You know, the classic with the campfire on top. I think I forgot to put the campfire on top. Then I installed a quick little brick roof to the top, and I think it's turning out pretty nice. Obviously needs a lot of detail, but it's looking good. I felt like I was on a roll, and by day 65, I continued the village by adding another house with the orange roof, the white walls, but this time with a little bit of a different block palette just to break things up. Check it out. These two new buildings frame this area really well. As you can see, I even made this little covered area with a bunch of books and storage and pots. There's not a specific purpose for each house because I kind of want to fill them over time with the different villager professions. And of course, yeah, in this one too, there's plenty of room for villagers. The building's going great, but we need to take a quick break to head to an ancient city. My main goal from the ancient city is to get a swift sneak book. They're so essential for building, to be honest. And also, I'd rather not die if I can help it, you know? These ancient cities honestly just involve a lot of sneaking slowly between chests, which isn't always the most exciting thing, but there's decent loot at least. And okay, we found the redstone room. I like this room because we can steal redstone from it. Oh, come on. Ward armor trim. Maybe we're a little bit. So he's right there. I'll come back for the chest. How do I get out? Okay. He's not chasing me, is he? I think we're good. I don't like how I can hear his, like, footsteps. Oh my gosh, he's chasing me. Okay. That's terrifying. Let's swim up here and hide. That might be the first time something in Minecraft has actually made me jump. Every time I've played an ancient city before was in hardcore mode, so I never even got close to the warden. But that was scary. Swift sneak, come on, come on. Any day now. Yes, a new music disc. Nice. Swift sneak 2, hold on. If I grab our anvil, I believe we can now combine for Swift sneak 3. Nice. Yes. Oh, what? You know what? That's my cue to leave. As soon as I got back, I made sure to stow away all my music discs, and I got to work finishing some detailing on our last 2 builds. I was working on finishing the roof until I got a visit from Minecraft's probably best mob. They must know I'm up at 2 a.m. editing this. That's probably why they're attacking me. I worked on bringing the path further up the hill, which is looking great, by the way. This little fence I installed kind of made a natural little field type area. I figured it'd be a good place to plant some crops, and I eventually actually landed on sugarcane, which is not what you typically think of for a crop field, but I think it looks cool. Days 76 through 78 were spent building this really cool tower house. This might just be my favorite one out of the whole city. Something about it just looks really cool to me. Oh, by the way, real quick, there's something really cool I wanted to mention. As you know, this is a really long-term, hopefully like 10-year-long world. And I've actually made a way for you to be part of this world. I know, it's crazy. I've officially launched channel memberships on my channel, something I've always wanted to do. And everyone who becomes a member gets a permanent sign with their name on it placed somewhere in my world. I just felt like that's a really cool way to commemorate it. And hey, you also get stuff like the world download, a bunch of custom emotes, private chat room. I try to make this as worthwhile as possible and a really good way to support me so I don't have to do annoying sponsorships because those are really annoying. So hey, consider clicking that join button and thank you so much. I wanted to throw out a few more details of the front of this build that we made. So I slapped down some stuff like this table, cartography table, the skull from the ancient city, a little flower pot with a cherry tree in it. I really like it. On day 80, I decided I wanted to balance the area out by adding this one more house. I decided to make it really short though to make sure it doesn't block the houses in the back. By day 84, our final build was done, which means we need to work on the finer details now for the last 15 or so days. The most important one to me is turning all of the floor into packed mud, but I'm not doing the stupid water bottle thing anymore. I'm gonna actually use the nether to fast travel to a mangrove swamp. That's exactly what I did, and I just sawed through all this mud. Probably one of the more satisfying things you can do in the game. From there, I spent day 85 and 86 searching villages for hay bales, because I can't be bothered to grow the wheat myself. I'd rather steal from them. I spent the entirety of day 87 just digging rooted dirt, and by day 90, the entire village had a packed mud floor. Yet another open space in the front of the village called for another farm. I decided to go with wheat. I figured it would fit in well with the tan kind of yellowish theme. I then filled the empty space behind the wheat field with this nice little market stand. I started with cherry wood, but it blended in a little bit too well, so I switched it to mangrove. Day 92 is what I like to call tree time. I built this first tree here. I really liked it, but I forgot to record. The second one though, I recorded, and I threw it behind our big tower. I think it gives the area a nice sense of scale and brings it all together. Makes it feel more natural. Days 94, 95, I spent adding a lot of details to this area. A big thing were these like unique little flowering bushes. I've never really seen anybody do anything like this before. I think it's kind of cool with the azalea, the petals, and the oak. I threw in some glazed terracotta for a couple pops of color. Underrated block. Please use more glazed terracotta. I'm going to at least. You got the planter box. The small little baby tree. I really like this. Along the stone, I made some more rough, dead bushes. And overall, I just spammed bone meal pretty much everywhere. And man, it really brought this whole place together. I'm so proud of it. I wasn't planning on this at all, but there's 2 more days, more than I thought we'd have. So maybe it could just be possible to beat the dragon before day 100. This is going to be really cutting it close. And we need to get going. Let's see. Okay, this way. It's time to become a speedrunner. To be honest, I had hoped the stronghold would be on our island, which looks so cool in the background, by the way. But maybe the ocean or these islands or whatever it is wouldn't be that bad either. Yeah, we have more than enough. The question right now is finding the stronghold. I mean, theoretically, I can just dig down here, right? Yeah, okay, here it is. I hear mobs. I think, okay, here we are. What? No shot. That might be a stronghold into a trial chamber. That would be the coolest thing I've ever seen. What the heck? That's actually crazy. Oh no, I'm being overrun with silverfish though. There's no way that the stronghold just intersects with a trial chamber like this. That's in a lush cave? That's insane. Oh my gosh. Shoot, I didn't bring a way of lighting this other than... There we go. Good thing I got all those under eyes. They're all missing. Can't forget to set my spawn. Hold on. Stupid silverfish, leave me alone. Oh yeah, probably shouldn't have slept through the night. Probably wasn't a smart idea. All right, we gotta really go now. There we go. No. Whoa. Oh my gosh. Is he perching again? Okay, perfect. I can, okay. Come on. What is that? Come on, please. Yes! Oh my gosh. I want to play in my Minecraft world for the next 10 years. Now, I know that sounds crazy. I mean, most people get bored of their world in 2 weeks. And even my longest world only even lasted a year. So what makes me think this is going to be any different? Well, for context, this world is actually a giant island. An island so large, it'll easily take me the entire decade to fill it. That's cool, in theory. But what's going to stop me from, I don't know, quitting this world like every single other one? Well, I've learned a lot from those last worlds. And I've outlined a pretty solid 10-year plan that I think is going to inspire me and could even inspire you to do something similar. And I'm going to explain it all in this video. And while I'm doing that, I'm also going to be working on another large project. I'm going to be building a pretty massive centerpiece to our little Mediterranean village here. It's going to be a giant map room. It's going to be really cool. But in order to keep this from taking the entire 10 years, I need to get an elytra and rockets. That'll really speed things up. Getting some wings in this world is honestly the perfect backdrop for my first topic, why I chose survival. For the most part, I've played Minecraft in 3 main ways before starting this series: hardcore, SMPs, and modded. All of which would be super interesting long-term series, but each of them have some pretty big downsides. When I first started this world, it surprised a lot of people that this wasn't just another hardcore series. I mean, most of my success on this channel came primarily from hardcore mode, and I really enjoy hardcore. However, the reason I decided against it was pretty simple. I don't want to have to worry about dying. I was walking on eggshells the entirety of last series, taking the game super slow and taking honestly 0 risks, which did allow me to survive for a while until one split-second stupid decision ended months and months of progress. It can be hard to commit so much time to a world like that knowing that it could disappear in an instant, and that's not a risk I wanted to take anymore. Understandable, but single-player Minecraft can get lonely sometimes, so why don't I just join an SMP? Well, for a couple reasons actually. Don't get me wrong, servers are the most fun way to play Minecraft by far. However, they're also very restricting. SMPs, no matter how long they are always reset eventually. You gotta make sure you're following certain rules and make sure your builds aren't getting in the way of other people, etc. You get the idea. Not to say I won't ever be part of an SMP in the future, that's just not true, but for a long-term world like this, I really wanted a place to myself where I can literally do anything I want without any restriction. Which brings up the third possible game mode, modded. I've talked to a lot of people who have said mods are the only way they don't get bored of Minecraft, and while I've had fun with mods like Create, my interest for mods come and go, and what happens if a mod stops getting updates 5 years from now? I'm pretty much screwed. So I decided to go for regular old vanilla survival. I won't have to worry about dying or any restrictions or mods not updating. I can just have fun getting an elytra. Man, it feels good to finally have an elytra in this world, and I cannot wait to fly. Hold on, let me grab the dragon head real quick, and we can use our fireworks to take off. And just like that, pretty much everything we can do in this world just got a whole lot easier. And finally, I can see our builds from the sky. This area is honestly looking great. Something that was super important to me when starting this world is picking the absolute perfect seed. I actually spent 3 months after I lost my last world planning for this new series, and I already had the idea of an island in mind. Other than living on a big island just sounding cool, there's a lot of reasoning behind it as well. First off, it forces me to build everything in this world relatively close together. That's super important for me because I'm not trying to fly 5,000 blocks just to go between 2 different projects. The island I chose is just large enough, about 2,000 blocks wide, that I'll likely never be able to fill the whole thing, but it's small enough that everything will be relatively close together. There is one other reason I chose an island though, and it's to avoid one of the biggest reasons long-term worlds end: terrain updates. Every couple of years, Minecraft has one of those updates that either completely changes how the world generates or just adds some new biomes. These updates usually encourage people to restart in a brand new world to have all the changes closer to home. I don't have to worry about that because anytime Minecraft gets a terrain update, I can simply take my island and reset all the area around it, ensuring all the resources I want are always in a couple thousand blocks of me. And that's pretty much why I chose an island, but why this island? I'll be honest with you, the terrain itself is honestly somewhat boring, and that was on purpose. I really wanted to pick a blank canvas to do all my building on, so if I have relatively mild terrain like this, I'll be able to build some really cool custom terraforming like cliffs and mountains. That's always been a dream project of mine anyways. In fact, I've already started designing it in creative. This is probably like less than 1% of what I want to do. It's a many-year project for sure. Speaking of, let's talk about everything I'm planning on building. It probably wouldn't surprise you, this is once again something that I've put quite a bit of thought into over the last few months, and I'm starting to form a solid plan for what I actually want to do with this world. In all my previous series, for the most part, we essentially stuck to the one style, medieval, and that's great. I love building like this. It's what I'm best at, and I'd argue it's the style that Minecraft's textures are best for anyways. However, I really want to branch out in this world, and rather than build in one style, I want this world to be separated into numerous districts, so from different styles, time periods, and create an island with a lot of variety. Aside from the Mediterranean district we've been building up recently, there's also going to be a more modern city area, futuristic area, Japanese district, fantasy and medieval districts, and so much more. I'd actually like to try to map it all out today, but for that, we're of course going to need a map. And the main thing I've actually been working on is getting all these villagers in place. I mean, all of these is kind of an overstatement, but I've got a couple like the unbreaking and the mending for my elytra, this guy who buys sticks, and then this guy who will sell me maps. This is definitely the easiest way to get maps, I would say. We finally have every single map I need, and that probably took me like a day to get all those, but we need to get them all filled out, so I'm just going to collect every single one of these. Then we're going to fly to the southwesternmost part of our base. And it's even bigger than you think, because these are actually size 2 maps. They're twice the size. We throw them in the cartography table with a piece of paper, and it doubles in size. This is not an easy project at all, but it's coming out so good. We're about halfway through it. And honestly, I just want to see what this thing looks like when it's done. Especially once we put some sort of domed structure on top, whatever that means. Okay, I think this is the last few maps here. There should be a couple more over here, there, and bam! Look at this. It looks great. To be fair, it's a little off-center. There's way too much water over here. But this is actually the section of water I'm going to be building the most in. So I'd say over time, it'll even out. The reason I wanted to build this in the first place was to have a way to plan out all the different districts in this world. And now we can do exactly that. This is something I've been really looking forward to for a long time. The first region, which you're already pretty familiar with, is this Mediterranean district. Our starter village is here, and it's the very start of the whole area. And I plan on stretching this style all the way down the eastern shoreline. This style is characterized by being on these cool rocky beaches and also being just extremely packed with houses. Usually extremely colorful houses. It's a really cool project, just packing the shoreline with buildings, and something I'm also definitely not geared up or prepared to start yet. So I'm gonna need to pick a new spot to work in. I'm thinking of next going back to my roots and starting a medieval district. Like I said, medieval is one of my favorite ways to build in Minecraft, and it's a style I'm super excited to be my next project in this world. This is my old hardcore world. We've talked about it a couple times, and I really enjoy the style we did in here. However, this world was cut short pretty early on, like 1,000 days in, so I never really got to work out my true vision for this world, and I want to carry out that vision in our new world, and that's what I'm dedicating the medieval region to. Continuing this style, obviously, with all new original builds and stuff like that, but I think it'll be a lot of fun and definitely a unique challenge. We're gonna start that project in episode 4, so you should probably subscribe for that. It's gonna be an insane video, I know that, but that'll be nothing compared to the scale of this next region. My futuristic city out on the ocean. Now, the reason it's on the ocean is because I want to drain a giant area around this ocean monument. This is basically what it'll look like. And then we're gonna fill it with huge futuristic towers, that sort of solar punk type style with futuristic white buildings and nature and all that stuff. Once again, super long-term project, but something I at least want to break ground on within the next year or so. And I think that region will perfectly contrast with this one, our more cyberpunk city region, a more gray, darker city area. I want to try to fill up this entire massive flat plains biome, which is probably way too ambitious and not a project I'm going to be starting anytime soon. It's going to be something super cool once we get to it. On the the north side of the city is going to be the huge mountain range I've been talking about building, which I've already pretty much explained. And on the east side, we'll probably do an Asian-inspired kind of Japanese area. Pretty much the style you're thinking. I built like this a little bit before, but I really want to expand on it and see how much better I can get it. That is a lot of plans. And even though I just described a ton of mega builds, that's like probably 20% of the entire island. So how the heck am I gonna stay motivated? That's definitely the question I get asked the most. A ton of my comments are people wondering, how can I play Minecraft so much? How can I build so much and not get bored? Well, there's a lot of reasons, actually. And while I'm answering that, we need to build something around that map. The map is out in the open and it is probably gonna get blown up by a creeper if we don't. I want the build around this map to feel pretty ancient, so we're gonna use a combination of stone, tough, deep slate, some darker gray colors. And for the roof, to fit in with the Mediterranean theme we have going on already, I want to mostly use the orange with a little bit of warped wood as well, mixed in there a little bit. Looks like we have some blocks to collect. I spent a couple hours gathering a bunch of different blocks and building a path way up to our map so we can get started building some pillars. Now, back to the big question everybody's been waiting for. How am I going to stay motivated? Especially for, 10 years? Well, a big way I stay motivated is how I approach the game in the first place. I treat Minecraft as more of a creative game rather than a survival one. And I'm not really talking about the game modes. What I mean is rather than worrying about having the most OP armor or getting every achievement or building all these crazy farms, I just like building stuff. Building houses and cities and castles and all that stuff. Does that mean all those other things are bad? Absolutely not. It's just what I personally enjoy. My point is, if you want to enjoy Minecraft for a long period of time, you need to figure out what you actually enjoy about it and then lean into that. And not just do what your favorite YouTuber's doing. There is one final factor though, and it's probably the biggest threat to this world. But let's not worry about that now and finish up this monument. This turned out as such a perfect centerpiece for this area. With this big oak tree to the side, not only is the map now somewhat protected, but we also have a great view of the entire area around us, which is perfect. The orange and the blue color work so well together, along with all the smaller details like these flowering plants with the different types of leaves and these cool pots that I made out of terracotta, and of course the big spruce chandelier in the middle, just to give it a little bit of light so the map's not too dark. And we're actually starting to make a tiny little dent in this map. It's gonna take a very long time. Could you imagine one day if this thing is even a little bit filled up? That's gonna look so cool. Let's talk about that final factor, change. I mean, a lot can and will change in 10 years. I mean, let's just compare the game between 2014 and 2024. I can't even begin to describe how different the game is since then. Chances are my plans for this world are going to change a lot. I might literally build completely different things than what I described in this video, and that's totally okay. I try to make my plans as dynamic as possible, so I'll always be able to do whatever I feel like doing at the time. So don't hold me too close to any of these plans and expect a lot of change. Now, of course, I totally realize there's going to be plenty of times when I experience burnout or just don't have time in life to play. Once again, that's totally fine. Realistically, there's going to be plenty of breaks in this world. Rather, it's because I'm sick of playing in this same world too much and I want to start a new, smaller series. Or maybe I literally don't have any time or motivation to play the game at all. I'll likely be in college in 2 years and I have no idea what creating content will look like by then. That would only even be a problem if my goal for this world was to create the craziest mega builds ever, which, believe it or not, isn't really my goal at all. My goal with this world is simply to have a chill place that I can always come back to. And hopefully it can be the same thing for you. And thanks to YouTube, that essentially gets to be my job. Exactly 5 years ago today, I posted my first ever YouTube video, just doing it for fun, never expecting it to go anywhere.
I really enjoy this, and if I get 0 subscribers, I really don't care.
And since then, so much has happened. I've grown so much, and the channel is growing faster than ever. I mean, if you look throughout then, my content has changed a ton, and I think I want to use this series as a way to document my continued growth as a creator. And with your support, I hope to keep making these videos long into the future, so thank you. And if you want to support me further and be able to say you've kept up with the series since the start, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are so close to my dream of 100K. We're about to begin a new chapter in my Minecraft world. Right now, I'm traveling across the island to begin a new massive civilization, transforming an entire region with 3 separate mega projects. The first of which being a super detailed city I plan on building up here today. And don't worry, I'll explain all about those other 2 projects throughout the video, but before then, we need to establish ourselves a home base, somewhere we can store all our items. This storage room, although probably the smallest house in the city, is going to define the style for the rest of the village, so we've got to get this right. For this project, I'm trying something new and focusing a lot on color theory, which is something I'll dive more into a little later, and I'll be able to explain why most of these houses are going to be more monotone grayish brown colors. I won't lie, I'm a really big fan of this house. It's packed with a lot of detail, even though how small it is. Will probably be one of the smaller builds in the village, but I think it's the perfect size to throw in a little storage room. Oh, I forgot, I terraformed this. But we're gonna throw in a quick floor, a little bit with our glazed terracotta, and some basalt, because I love the top texture of basalt. And of course, a bunch of chest spam. Honestly, a nice little storage room like this, although it's pretty cramped, is gonna serve us really well. And I know we have a lot of houses to build, but I've been randomly inspired to dig out some rivers running throughout this region. You can see I've already started marking it out. This isn't exactly gonna be a small side quest. I've already terraformed this area a lot, but I want to make a true impact with this river especially, which I attempted to start. We need to get a beacon. It honestly shouldn't take too long. It'll be a great long-term investment in this world. I'm gonna head over to our local nether fortress, and because it's in a soul sand valley, I believe there should be a lot of spawns. I think that's how it works. And just in case things go wrong, I'm actually going to head out just like that. I'm gonna use this respawn anchor, essentially a bed that you can place in the nether. I never see anybody using these, but they're pretty cool. First one, nice. If our luck continues like that, this should actually be not too annoying. Second one, nice. Third one, I think that was back to back almost. That was way easier than I thought it was gonna be. We can craft up this beacon real quick, and now all we have to do is mine 1,400 iron. Now I'm an old-fashioned Minecraft player. I'm not gonna build no stupid iron farm. I'm gonna mine iron straight from the ground. I mean, how bad could it be? Hold on, why is that bar still so low? I've been doing this for hours. Looks like we're making an iron farm. I don't want to spend too long on this at all. We have a lot to do. I don't really want to build a real advanced one or a really beginner one either. I think I'm just going to pick a good mid-range reliable iron farm, build it in our spawn chunks, and having it constantly running like that should ensure that we always have a good backlog of iron. Hopefully there are some villagers left. Yes, there are. We can steal these guys. I cleared out a spot within our spawn chunks. Let's go ahead and set up this iron farm. I'm going to clear out a nice big space here. This is going to catch all of the iron golems. We've also got to dig a pit like 30 blocks deep, hopefully damaging the iron golems in the process. What the heck? Now we've got to set up all these villager pods with beds in them, and then I think we'll put a zombie in them as well. While we were building, the villager breeder has been cooking, so we should have a lot of villagers. We're pretty much just going to take these guys, throw them in a boat, and boat them over. In the boat. There we go. Nice and easy. All right, the sun is setting. Let's test this out. Is this villager going to pathfind to a bed? And moment of truth, it looks like he's going for it. This actually worked out perfectly. Let's drop all 3 of these guys down there. And oh, first iron golem already spawned. Perfect. And yeah, we just saw our first iron golem go down there too, so we know for a fact it's working. Break these 3 beds. The final little thing we have to do to make this farm work 100 times more efficiently is capture a couple zombies. No, they're gonna kill it. They're gonna kill it. Stop. No, don't kill it. Please. Come on, you can make it. You can make it. Get in the hole. Yes. Oh, okay, that was close. I think everything's set up, which means we should have a lot of iron. My ingenious, perfect work of redstone is done. Just look at this thing. Doesn't it look like somebody who knows what they're doing made it? No, it doesn't. But it turns our iron into iron blocks, and it collects a bunch of poppies once we get enough in the filter. And I think in the long run, building this iron farm was a really good investment. An iron farm speeds up literally everything I do. There's so much in this game that requires iron, and now we have it, including this beacon. It's been literally years since I had a world with a beacon, and this is about to feel so good. Mining blocks is way less painful. We can instantly mine them. I'm 100% confident now. All that work was definitely worth it. Let's build this river.
As the world moves on, time sings a song. Shadows of that time are cast beneath the streetlight beam. As the world moves
The river was a great choice. It added a lot of interest to this otherwise boring terrain, and it really gives us an inspiring landscape to work with here. Before we start laying out paths, however, I do want to come and add a little bit of detail. I mean, there's some small specific details we can add, like a little bit of a drain that's coming from one of these buildings. And there's the more general stuff I actually have in mind, which is stuff like putting some leaves in here to look like a little bit of algae building up. I gotta pay attention to where I think the water would be the stillest in the river. I also spent a while gathering a bunch of these drip leaves, a detail that I almost never use, but I think is kind of cool. Even if it doesn't really fit the river perfectly, I think they just look cool. Right now, our village consists of one singular house, and if we want to build more homes, we of course need to build some paths to connect it all to figure out exactly where everything's gonna be. My all-time favorite path building material is path mud. It's such a nice texture and works so well for a path. Hopefully we have enough wheat. We have 60 hay bales. That might not be enough, but maybe it will be enough when we use our combination of packed mud and rooted dirt. It is raining again, but you can also see how these paths are coming along. I'm totally winging it. If you can't tell, I have no idea how this is going to turn out. The one thing I have planned is for a big watchtower to go right here, kind of at a central point to the village where they can look out over the water and over the forest behind. This is a primarily grayscale build using a lot of tuff, a lot of deep slate. Okay, this should be most of the materials we need. It's going to be a super dark build with also a bit of a pop of color from all this wood. We'll start by outlining the tower, something a little bit like this, I believe. And I'd love to use the top texture of basalt. It looks so good, even mixed in maybe with the smooth basalt top texture. Oh yeah, that looks perfect. Then I think we'll transition to our tuff with some of these chiseled tuff blocks. This is one of my favorite textures in the game right now. It makes for a really detailed looking build. Then we'll move right on to the regular tuff and tuff bricks, a little bit of a variation of them, saving some room for some windows as well. I want to kind of distinguish this into separate floors by doing additional strips of the basalt, which is a little bit tedious to place. This breaks up an otherwise pretty uniform, boring, tough wall into something kind of interesting. And if we're to follow the pattern, that means we have another layer of the chiseled tuff, and we'll continue this basic pattern all the way to the top. Here's our tower so far, looking good, lacking a lot of detail, and also the building to the side here. But let me throw on a few details. For example, we're gonna put a sort of canopy right here, stretching down all the way from up here with a few carpets on the top to give it a little bit more depth. Oh yeah, that looks great. A little bit of a mob problem underneath. Let me deal with this real quick. Don't kill me, please. Why are there so many down here? Let's work on getting some windows set in here. And I want to make the wall double thick so I can do one of my favorite tricks with windows, putting yellow glass on the outside and then the clear glass on the inside to give it this sort of, yeah, you can see it. There's like a stripe down the middle, kind of give it that checkered pattern in there a little bit, make it look like an actual window. I used it in this one, I think. Yeah, you can see the effect in that window too. It looks super cool. This side doesn't really have enough room though, so I'm just gonna put regular windows. And yeah, we should probably put a staircase going up like this. And at the top, we'll actually put some support beams in order to install a bell so you can alert the village in case attackers come. You'd be surprised how many attackers are on my island. Let's add some window shutters using these fence gates. They're called fence gates, and trap doors, just like that. And the signature leaf at the bottom for whatever reason. I mean, hey, I'm trying to branch out here. At least I'm not building windows like that, like I always do. You know what? Actually, I take it all back. We're doing exactly that. Now, excuse me while I quickly build up the other half of this tower. After I build something, I love taking a step back and seeing how it looks compared to everything around it, what kind of cool shots we can get of it. And from down here, it looks great next to this build. From up here, we're out of rockets. Let's see if we can make it. It also looks great. It's placed in like the perfect spot right along the water. With our first two houses in, I think it's time for me to explain my full vision for this area. As I said at the start, there's three main mega projects. The city, which we're working on now, and next the castle. But surrounding this city and castle will be part 3 of this build, which is, of course, the forest. And this forest is probably going to be a lot different from what you're used to. Take a look at this tree here. I designed this in my last hardcore season. It's this sort of yellow birch tree. I just think it's super cool, and I've always wondered what it looked like as an entire forest, so that's exactly what we're gonna do. and it's gonna take me so long. We'll worry about that later though, because being in this old world has reminded me of this old build, which I really like. It's kind of inspired the whole area we're doing now. So I figured, why not take it, maybe change the roof to be a little darker, and throw it in our current survival world. If this is your first time seeing this build, you may not know this is actually designed to be an inn. I actually copied the interior over. It's got like a bar down here with a bunch of tables. And then if you go upstairs, there's a couple different rooms you can stay in. There's this one here, real small. There's this nice big luxury one in here with some cherry walls, campfire, amethyst shard for some reason. And I even hid one up in the attic. Up here, there is one more room. There is actually zero time to waste though. I need to get started right away on another build for the village. The main reason for this build is actually to hide a little honeycomb farm I made. So I sort of themed it with the orange to kind of give it a honey kind of style. I don't know. This build fits in super well though. It's really got a lot of cool and unique details. I'm a big fan of throwing in the glazed terracotta everywhere I can. And if we head inside, obviously no interior, but I do have this honeycomb farm which is working pretty nicely. We've built up quite a few buildings already, but in order to switch things up and really make a city unique like this, you've really got to have some depth in terms of the height of different builds. What I mean by that is, for example, I actually built up 3 blocks. I terraformed 3 blocks in order to make this a little bit taller than everything else. And I want to carry that on over here and make a taller, higher up platform over here to build some stuff on. We're just going to use dirt as a template and we'll detail it later, but I think like something about this height might be good. Okay, this shouldn't be too bad to terraform. We'll just need to smooth this down into the terrain as well as build a retaining wall over here. Alright, we've got this raised platform now we can work with. The terrain is much nicer, but we also don't have a lot of room to fill here. I don't want to waste any time. I just want to build up a ton of houses in this area. It's actually almost Halloween, so I'm going to be keeping an eye out for those jack-o'-lantern mobs while I build. Hopefully we can catch a few, maybe put them in our city somewhere. There's a ton of these Halloween mobs, but the only one that's actually rare is the jack-o'-lantern ones, because you can actually just dispense a regular pumpkin on them. But this jack-o'-lantern guy, and especially because he's a zombie villager, I want to try to capture him. There we go. Okay, I captured a couple. I'd like to at least try to get 1 or 2 of every mob. Maybe we can make a collection of them sometime. But we can also take a look at our new build here. And it's nothing too crazy, but I really like it. My favorite part, I think, is the blocks we used for the roof. The oak and the jungle and the stripped jungle wood look super good together. Make a really cool looking, maybe it's like a straw roof, or maybe it just is a wood roof. And then I threw in some glazed terracotta to be a really ornate decoration. I mean, nobody ever uses these blocks, so I want to try to take advantage of them. This tower design is one that I've used for years, but I still really like. Now I want to continue our row of houses by building one up here. I'm going to try to go for a diagonal build here, which is something I haven't done yet in the city for some reason, and I'm not quite sure what it'll be. Maybe like a record store, because I do have this collection of records I haven't really done anything with, but I'm not quite sure yet. Normally when I'm doing diagonal builds, I'll do something like this. I'll make a straight line and then just like do this kind of thing where only half of the sides are actually diagonal, something like this. And this looks okay, but it also looks a little bit strange once you actually build up the full build. Here's a few old examples of that. I mean, it looks all right, but it's not the best. What we can do instead though is actually make every single side diagonal, sort of like this here. Yeah, just like this. And this allows for a way more natural looking diagonal build. The first layer is made out of mostly cobblestone. I do think I want to make it the opposite way around though, so it's not so close to this house. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, let's build this up with some cobblestone and stone. And we'll even throw in some light gray wool to add some light touches to the top. Yeah, this seems like a pretty good foundation. We're gonna move right on up to layer 2. Come on, stupid pillagers, go away. As I was saying, we're moving up to layer 2 here. In between all these support beams, we're gonna throw some tan colored blocks like the sandstone and the birch. A big feature of this top section is going to be some rather large windows made out of dark oak. This roof is going to be pretty cool as well. It's going to be all copper. It's actually going to be this phase of copper, I think, but I'm just going to place these down for now. We can finally utilize copper more thanks to the fact this building here is a honey farm, which is super nice. Oh, shoot. Look who I found down here. One of the rare jack-o'-lantern ones. Get in the boat. That's actually kind of nice to have him down here. All the copper's in place. Let's deoxidize it all real quick, as well as wax it. There we go. This house is nice and simple for now, but it is looking great. Obviously, all of these are super undetailed right now. We're gonna have to come back late. We'll have to come back at the end here and add all the details. But right now, I really just want to get this area laid out. And I think I want to kind of build a gateway arch entrance right here, which is gonna go between two separate houses. I think that'll be a super cool way to like enter the city. I want to have the path running through here. And I'm also gonna try to use some unique colors with it. We'll see how it turns out. Our entrance is complete, and this is going to be the main way. I think the people are going to get into the village and then out into the forest, which we're going to build out here. Oh, jeez. Baby zombie, go away, please. There's pretty much one more main gap I want to fill in here before we detail out this entire area and really bring it to life. So let's real quick build up one final house here. I've got most of the resources on me. This shouldn't take too long at all. We've got our final house in here, and I'm not gonna lie, it is super basic. However, I did do some cool stuff. Like, I really like what I used for the roof. This cherry and this nether brick look actually really good together. I was testing around, and I figured out those two blocks are like a perfect match. As well as that, we've got a little balcony to look over the village from up here. And you could look at this horribly ugly terrain and lack of detailing. Let's deal with that real quick. First of all, this retaining wall is gonna be ripped out and replaced with, I think, deep slate. There we go, much nicer retaining wall now. Let's go ahead and take all this grass and turn it into our mud. I know we're building a forest in 2 episodes. However, I still want to add some small trees actually inside the village. I think they'll have more skinny trunks made out of walls. I ended up building a tree here, and of course here. I'll probably add some more later, but that should be good for now. Let's go layer by layer here and add some details. First thing I want to do is I see this blank surface here. I'm thinking I could add like a sort of patio thing, something a little bit like this. I'm not quite sure how this is going to turn out, but I know there's a lot of open space in this area that I want to fill up, and I think this will definitely help. Grab some crimson chairs like that, and maybe some tables. I don't think these are gonna work for tables. I have a better idea. Yeah, I think this is a little bit more like it. Now we can actually sit here, kind of. I'd also like to add a classic little well right here. I'm sure I've done this design before, but it's just so simple and fills up the space really well. Why wouldn't we do it? Yeah, look at that. Nice. Let's get this area more lit up. I'm gonna throw in some lamppost designs. I think that's good. Nice and simple. Thanks to our nice honeycomb farm here, we can actually make a lot of these beehive thingies, which look pretty cool as like a crate if we just pile them around. Yeah, just like that. That looks super cool. I think for this big open space here, I want to try to install a fountain here. I kind of planned out a design. I think it should be pretty easy. All right, here's our fountain all done. Let's throw some water in this and see if it works. It actually doesn't destroy everything. Perfect. One more improvement to this area, and now I know there's so much more we can do. All the interiors, everything like that. But I'm running out of time. We can just save that for some live streams in the future or something like that. Right now, I have 2 weeks to build a castle and then 2 weeks to build a forest. Is that gonna happen? We'll find out. But hey, welcome back to the island. I've spent the last few months here in my medieval district planning and building up 3 mega projects. First the city and now the castle. My original plan for this castle was just for it to be an iconic build that really stood out in the region, but I think it can be so much more. I've realized that it's time to move out of my starter base and that this castle could be the perfect new base if I was able to fill it with all the essentials a good survival base needs. This is one of the biggest, best, and most fun builds I've ever done, so make sure you stick around. Fortunately, this castle is going to require some of my favorite activity, mass deforestation. was at it, I figured why not just go ahead and get some of the terraforming done. So I pretty much terraformed the ground up to the level where the castle's gonna go. Having this forest gone made such a big difference. And I was even able to terraform up all this land so we can see exactly where we're gonna build the castle. It might not seem like that huge of a footprint, but man, this thing is going to be really tall, probably at least twice as tall as anything in this village, maybe even more. That doesn't really scare me. What does scare me, though, is all the different kinds of blocks I need. For example, I need like 600 mangrove logs. If you're not sure why that's a problem, well, this is what a mangrove tree looks like. And there is no way I'm chopping a couple hundred of these by hand. I'm going to try to build a tree farm. I've built a couple different tree farms before. I built one that only did mangrove, which was honestly kind of finicky and broke a lot. I built one that got most trees but not mangrove, which was great, but you know, we need mangrove wood. But I found a design that apparently does both. I'm gonna build it, I think, on top of this random hill here in the middle of my world. Not because I want to display this ugly farm off for the rest of the world, but because eventually someday I want to build some kind of cool structure around it. The farm should be good to go. This is extremely complicated, but I think what I need to do right now is flick that lever and we should see some TNT. Yep, there we go. TNT is falling down. All right, it seems to be working. The farm actually needs to be reconfigured a lot in order to get mangrove to work. So for now, before I do that, I want to collect some of the regular woods that don't require that reconfiguration. It appears to be working. It looks like we're getting logs. Nice. Okay, I ran the farm a few minutes and we have a good amount of spruce wood there. Look at that. That's perfect. Now we need to make some quick modifications to the farm to make sure the mangrove trees don't ruin everything. Okay, so theoretically this mess of chains and iron bars should make it so I can farm mangrove. You know, I'm not buying it, but we're about to find out, I guess. No way, it might. I think it's actually working. Okay, yeah, definitely worth it. We got, I think that's most of what we'll need. I really hope. I made sure to mix a bunch of other red color blocks into the design anyways to make sure I didn't have to get too much mangrove wood, so we might be okay. One of those red blocks I use that matches super well with mangrove is netherrack, and it also doesn't hurt that it's super easy to mine. I mean, we already have enough in here. We also need a ton of dark oak, which unfortunately we can't really use an automatic farm for, but I mean, it's not too difficult to spam them down and chop them right back up. I've been running around grabbing the various different materials we need. There's still quite a few more big ones. One of those is blackstone. The roof is made out of blackstone and we need an absolute ton of it. I'm like 70% sure I can instant mine this stuff, so oh no. Are you kidding me? There's currently a sandstorm going on in this desert for some reason, which seems like the perfect time for me to grab some red terracotta. The nice thing about this is apparently I only need a level 1 beacon, which means I don't have to move my entire beacon over here. And in general, mining with haste like this is pretty satisfying. I also need to grab a little bit of regular terracotta so I can turn it into the glazed terracotta. I have a cool floor pattern that uses some of it. It's even happening in the desert. Let's hop over here. Well, might as well check this out. And diamond horse armor. Okay. Now let's do something fun. Okay. And whoa. Oh my gosh. Why couldn't I fly? I promise I didn't want that to be that close at all. That was not a bit for the video. I genuinely couldn't use my wings for some reason. I have collected a ton of blocks for the exterior, not even the interior, believe it or not. But all these blocks will help me build up the exterior. Starting with, I think we'll just start off and build a floor just to make the rest of the building process a little bit easier. I also gave myself jump boost because it's fun. This should give you a much better idea of the castle. First of all, I think these light blue and the red look really good together. That's a theme that's going to carry on up through the rest of the build. But right now, I'm super motivated to just keep building this up. I want to work on the tower. Check it out. You can get a good idea of what the rest of this build is going to look like. And this thing just towers over the rest of the area. I really like these flags I did at the top as well as the skylight. I think it's some cool details. I never did detail the blackstone up here. Now that it's starting to rain, I'm just going to work on the entrance here, which is going to use some diamond blocks. And with this one especially, you can really see the shading I went for with the lighter tones in the concrete and then the darker tones kind of casting a fake shadow, giving it a lot more depth than it actually has. And of course, we've got our nice little diamond emblem thing there. Not really sure what it is, but I have a ton of diamonds and I kind of wanted to flex them, especially since this is going to be my main sort of base, I guess. There's a whole lot more ground to cover though, so let's get right back to it. I mean, it's really no secret that I designed all my builds beforehand in creative mode, but seeing it built into survival, knowing that I gathered all the blocks, that I placed them all down, it's just so rewarding. I absolutely love the block palette I used for this, as well as the contrast we get with, you know, the light blue elements to really dark roof, even this little pop of orange. And inside, I set up some very basic interior stuff like this fireplace and a bunch of support beams that are intentionally kind of covered in darkness up in the ceiling. Which leads us to the part I've been most excited for. We need to turn this empty shell of a castle into an actual base. The perfect survival base that kind of has everything we need all in one place. The first thing I want to do is section off this half of the castle into a storage room. Let's kind of figure out how this storage system is going to go. I think I want to stack these chests up 4 blocks tall like this. Progress is underway. However, you can tell it is super dark in here. I want to light it up with candles. Candles take honeycomb and string to craft. And if you check out this building from our last episode, you can see that we have a decent amount of honeycomb. However, we don't have string. I was thinking I don't really want to build a mob farm just to get some candles. And then I remembered good old Minecraft string duping. I've never done it before, and Minecraft's actually patching it out in the next update. However, it's not gone yet, so we can take advantage of it while it's still here. In fact, we'll build a small little string duper inside the honeycomb farm. We just need to place down some chests and hoppers like this with some glass on top. All right, we got the tripwire hook placed down. It should be. Never mind. Now, if we shear this and flick the lever, it should not work. Okay. We should be able to shear this and it should work. There we go. We now have a lot of string. I got to make sure I stockpile on string before this thing gets patched out in the next update. And in like 10 seconds, I can already craft a ton of candles. Just got to make sure I turn that off eventually. But now I can easily light this area up with a ton of candles. One thing I have decided though is this is not enough chests. I'm going to make a second level to a couple of these. I'm going to do that with more of my dark oak. And there are 12 different rows of chests here for all 12 different wood types. That's including the new pale wood and like the bamboo and all that stuff. Let's head down to the lighthouse and empty out all of the wood from here. There is a lot of it. Here is all our wood items here, and we've just got to sort it. And this might seem kind of tedious to you, but I kind of enjoy it for some reason. It's kind of relaxing. Let me sort all of my items real quick. I've combined pretty much every storage room in this world into this one area, and I think I have it organized pretty well. I mean, on this back wall here, we have a bunch of bulk storage for stuff like dirt and stone that I'm gonna have just chests on chests of. And then going along from there, we have all our different stone types, all of our different ores, some nether blocks, a bunch of random building materials, and then all the plant stuff. And even some more random super miscellaneous stuff right here that I couldn't find a space for. Back here, nestled under the stairs, we have our different collections. I'm not sure if this is a permanent spot for them, but this is where I'm keeping all my different armor trims and pottery shards and banner patterns, the kind of collectible items in the game. I set up this little jukebox here for all our music discs so we can listen to them. That is really loud. Jeez. But we still have some more room I want to fill in here. First of all, I want to set up a couch over here by this fireplace. Not quite sure how this is going to go, but I think something like this should be good. Yep, this is nice and simple, but it works pretty good. Then I would love to set up a little shelf along this wall here. And my main reason for that is I want to store things like the dragon egg. This is going to be a shelf for all of our different collectibles in this world. And then I'm not really sure what to do with this section here. I have no idea why I thought of this, but I did, so we're gonna go with it. Yeah, I mean, there we go. There's a fish tank. Over time, I've thrown in a few more details, namely these paintings and stuff like that. But I want to move on to the second thing every survival base needs, a super smelter. Right now, I have this one in the corner, but I don't think this really counts. And it's not like there's really any room up here, so I'm gonna add on a little basement. I'm gonna make a staircase down to a little dungeon basement and have a nice big super smelter down there. Okay, we've got a little room cleared out now. I think a cool basement dungeon-y floor would be this deep slate top texture. I don't really use it a whole lot, and I think it looks really cool, actually. Okay, floor looks good. I want to try a design for the wall. Hopefully it looks good because I spent way too long gathering these materials. But we're going to go blackstone and then cherry logs. And stay with me. Stay with me. And then netherrack. Yeah, I know it's a weird one, but I think that could actually be kind of cool. Okay, our dungeon's coming together, but for the roof, I'm gonna do something revolutionary. You've never seen anything like this before. This is about to be the greatest roof in Minecraft history. You probably think I'm being sarcastic, but nope. My abundance of iron has inspired me to craft a lot of cauldrons. Now, I'm not sure what the bottom of these look like, but it's probably cool, right? Oh, that could be interesting. This looks very interesting. I don't know. I kind of like it. It's different at least. I think to break things up in here a little bit, I'm going to add some pillars made out of walls. I'm making this weird little shrine thing. Not sure why, but there you go. That's pretty cool, I guess. And now we have the creepiest dungeon room. We're going to put a few lanterns around to brighten it up a little bit. The super smelter itself is going to require a lot of stuff like hoppers and chests. And because this iron farm is in our spawn chunks, I'm a little curious to see how much iron we've produced so far. Okay. That's so much iron. That's actually crazy. That's more iron than I could ever use up. That is unless I keep building my roofs out of cauldrons, which I don't think I'm going to. I think 2 shulker boxes full of iron blocks will do us for, I don't know, couple days. Let's see if I can remember how to make one of these. I'm pretty sure we can just go something like this. I'm doing the most basic design possible. I'm not even really following a tutorial for it. But it just involves a lot of these powered rails. All I should have to do is throw fuel in that chest and then a block I want to smelt in that chest. Now it's working, but they are getting stuck for some reason. Let's see if that'll fix the problem. I think it does. Okay, perfect. And in seconds, we're getting tons of output from it. It seems like it worked out great. I set up a small list over here. These are sort of the things I think the castle needs before we can call it finished. We got the storage room done, the super smelter done. Now we need to work on the garden, which I have a really cool idea for. Let's get some paths figured out here. I want to have a nicer path coming off of the actual castle building, as opposed to the more dirty paths to the rest of the city. To be fair, it's still going to be made out of the mud bricks, probably. I'm trying to figure out a design real quick, and I don't actually hate this too much. I plan on putting some sort of garden out here, so I'm going to have the path jut out in a couple different ways. I'm not exactly sure how these gardens are going to look, but we're going to outline them with leaves, I think. Let's try to do something kind of unique with them. I want to fill them with coral instead of flowers. I don't know why, but I think that'd be cool. So now we got to fly a billion blocks to get coral, because I had a stupid idea. I'm just going to collect all these weird looking ones. I think these will look maybe good. We'll see. Okay, these are actually kind of cool. I've never really built with coral before. It's kind of nice. Let's put up a few lampposts too, so there's not 1 trillion mobs trying to get in my base and blow it up. Yeah, check that out. That's a much more grand entrance than we had before. We've now got this pretty cool walk-up entrance to the castle, and I kind of just spammed a bunch of flowers down, but we are in a flower forest, so I guess that's okay. I want to get more paths going, even connecting the paths up to our starter village over here. However, before I can really put in paths, I need to figure out the rivers. Let's mark out this river a little bit. I want to have it winding up this way quite a bit, taking a pretty sharp turn and heading up this little indent in the mountain, and it'll just start in this cave somewhere. Yeah, that should be pretty good. The lore, I guess, is that there's an underground lake that it's coming from. Okay, we've given this branch of the river a purpose, or at least an origin point up here in the cave. However, this way we have not touched yet. That's because it's going to go pretty long across here, and this part of the river is going to originate from a large pond right here. As you know, this area is soon going to be a giant forest, so I think having a pond in the center would be really cool to find, and also it means I have to build less trees in the next episode, which is always a plus. Building all these water features now is really going to help us when we move on to part 3 of this series, and part 3 is going to be interesting. I originally had the idea in my head that I'd be able to finish this entire area in a month. Obviously, I was very wrong about that. However, I am committed now. I really want to get this region done by the end of the year, and we can definitely do it. Once the river was put in place, that gave me room to start setting up the paths. We're using the classic packed mud and dirt combination, and these are looking great. Here it is, the new section of river and also the new path that's pretty much done. I need to go through here and texture the rocks a little bit, but the main thing I want to do right now is add a little bit of detail to this pond. First up, let's just throw down some bone meal. This is about the simplest thing we can do to detail it. I'm even going to throw in a few pieces of coral from earlier, because why not? Now I want to try something I've seen before but never really done, building some cattail. That's too tall. Building some cattail type things like this. We're using glass panes and brown candles if you're curious. Let's add a small dock here sticking into the water. Nothing crazy. Just a little thingy made out of spruce and a little support beam sticking down into the water like this. I figured, hey, why not throw one of the new colored chest boats there as well? I'm gonna hide some spore blossoms right nearby so we get these green particles. Can you see it? Oh, there's some underwater actually, which is really cool. But that adds a nice little ambient particle effect to the water. And finally, we're gonna add some like floating moss, algae type stuff to the top of the water using our waterlogged leaves like that. I'm also bone mealing a lot near the water's edge because it's gonna be very lush because obviously it gets a lot of water. And yeah, look at this. We totally transformed this area. It looks so much better. Hold on, I had to turn on the shaders. This is... I'm not sure why I'm so proud of this pond out of everything, but it's just such a cool atmosphere. Now imagine all the trees around it soon. While we're at it, let's look at everything we've made so far in this episode with shaders toggled on. We have the entryway with this grand, bright, vibrant red castle, the cool little coral planter thingies, and then we walk up here and we have this very surprisingly cozy for how big it is castle with the fireplace, with Seed sitting on the couch, and the light rays shining through these big grand windows into our storage room that stores just about every item we could ever have. And then coming out the back door, we now have some new paths here that lead us across the river. We still need to build a bridge someday, and all the way back into our medieval city. I'm about to build well over 100 trees in my Minecraft world. And I know what you're probably thinking, why would anyone put themselves through something like this? Well, I wasn't going to, but then I tried it in creative and realized how cool it looked, how much it completely transformed my medieval city. I just had to do it. These trees are completely built out of yellow wool, yellow concrete, yellow stained glass panes, not a bed, diorite wall, diorite, and birch wood. We're gonna need a shulker box of birch wood, a shulker box of diorite, 2 shulker boxes of diorite walls, 2 shulker boxes of yellow stained glass panes, 3 shulker boxes of concrete, and 7 shulker boxes of yellow wool. That's only 5. This is 7. Oh, and I almost forgot, there is also shulker box of yellow terracotta. Perfect. You're probably wondering how I'm going to collect all these blocks. I have no idea. However, I do know that the most important one, the most abundant one we need, yellow wool, can be farmed relatively easily. So my plan is, of course, to build a sheep farm. These farms are pretty simple to make. I've made some before, and my plan is to have 16 sheep in here. So for now, they can all be yellow, but eventually we can convert them all into the different colors once we don't need 5 million yellow wool anymore. Now we've got to transport these sheep all the way from my old starter base to the new area, which is just behind this hill. However, this is still very annoying. With all the sheep in, I need to fill up all of these dispensers with shears. This should be slowly producing wool, especially once all the sheep grow up. If we check in here, yep, already got some wool going, and it's pouring in. Don't get me wrong, this machine is still going to be pretty slow. It's going to take it a long time to get 7 shulker boxes of wool. However, as long as we hang out in this area, before you know it, we'll have all the wool we need. And of course, don't worry, I'm going to build something around this by the end of the episode. It's going to look really cool. As the farm chips away, we have a 1/7 of what we need so far. Let's work on getting the rest of these materials in the meantime. I think an easy and relatively enjoyable one will be getting yellow terracotta, and I can see a nice big yellow streak of terracotta just over here, so that's perfect. First item checked off the list, but now let's go ahead and quickly AFK our yellow wool. I say quickly, I'm probably gonna AFK for about a day and see how much we get in that time. Okay, let's check. We have 1 chest, 2 chests, 3 chests, and 4 chests, maybe even, and a little bit more in a 5th chest. I think that's enough to fill all 7 shulker boxes, which is perfect. If it took that long for the farm to gather all these blocks, imagine how long it's gonna take me to place them all. Now, I know we just had a ton of fun gathering wool, but what would be better than spending the rest of my night gathering 3 shulker boxes of diorite? Hopefully I'm being sarcastic. I don't actually think it'll take that long. Mining diorite isn't too bad. Thankfully, we can instant mine it. It's kind of hard to find pockets of it, especially ones that are near our beacon, because I kind of just have to randomly guess where our beacon actually is. But for some reason, I have found like the jackpot over here, which is kind of nice. And I've just been plowing through this stuff, trying to get all 3 shulker boxes we need. And I think we just about have... Where's my shulker box? Why am I missing a shulker box? That is not good. Please tell me I just placed it up here somewhere. I reviewed the footage and realized I had dropped it somewhere and my inventory was too full to pick it up, so looks like we have to get 1 more shulker box. That's kind of annoying. Okay, let's try that again. There we go. That is all the diorite we need and a little left over too. I think I have to turn 1 or 2 of those shulker boxes into walls. I kind of forget. Yep, it's 2 of them. 2 of these diorite boxes need to be converted into literal diorite walls. I needed 2 shulker boxes of diorite walls. I don't know if anybody's ever used that many of that block in 1 single build, but I mean, here we are. I think next step, I want to figure out how to get this shulker box of birch wood. Now I've got 2 options. I mean, I can chop them by hand. I'd rather not do that, or I could use my tree farm. That seems like the obvious choice. However, I really don't have a good supply of bone meal. I mean, if we check the farm real quick, I'm pretty sure that there's literally no bone meal in here. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing. I'm feeling like the best way to get bone meal might be ripping up some of the bones from a soul sand valley, because every bone is 9 bone meal. That can't be too bad, can it? Mining these stupid things in 3rd person is so annoying. Hopefully the clip looks kind of good. Ah, screw it. I'm not going to do that no more. Alright, nearly 4 stacks of bone blocks should be enough. That translates to what? 36 stacks of bone meal, which will probably be good enough for now. Or at least to get a single shulker of birch wood, right? That amount of bone meal ended up being just enough, I think, combined with what we already have in our storage in order to make the wood. The thing about this stuff is it's not the logs. For some reason, I decided to use the straight up 4-sided texture, which means we actually lose 1 in the process, but it's okay. There we go. Another shulker box checked off our list. I also gathered a couple stacks of calcite because I think we need a little tiny bit of it. Now for the 2 final items, concrete and glass. I saved these 2 for last for a very important reason. I don't want to get these by hand. And as I'm sure you know, there's a method of duping gravity blocks such as sand and concrete, both things that we're gonna need. So I think this is a relatively good opportunity to take advantage of that. If you're unfamiliar with these concrete, sand, gravel dupers use the end portal and basically push the sand into the end portal in a certain way that uses a glitch to duplicate it. It's pretty cool, but also I have no idea how to build it myself. Obviously, I'm using a tutorial. This tutorial in particular is by ENX04, so let's build this thing up. So what I'm going to do is put 2 of them as the yellow concrete and 2 of them as regular sand. And then I'm going to leave this for about an hour and hope my computer doesn't break. Because let me tell you, there is going to be a lot of items. All right, I ran the farm for about an hour, which means we definitely have a lot of materials in here. I'm worried there's too many materials and the world corrupts. It probably won't. And it seems like the overfill wasn't too crazy, but we do have a ton of yellow concrete. Yeah, look at all this. This is kind of cheaty, but it's in the vanilla game. I don't really care. And plus, I'd like to have a life outside of building trees and gathering resources in Minecraft, so I'm not complaining. Okay, here we go. I packed it all into boxes. This is actually insane how overpowered these farms are. Let's place down all of our concrete here and then smelt a shulker box of our sand into glass. for the glass panes, of course. In order to keep the smelter running this whole time, I'm going to fly around and grab some coal real quick from the nearby mountain. I'm also kind of realizing I'm going to need a lot of yellow dye. Maybe I'm best off finding like a sunflower field. I don't really want to take one by my base though. Hold on a minute. There are quite a few yellow flowers up here. Maybe I'll just pick some of these. I'll grab all of our glass. I made way extra, but I want to have plenty on hand. Now let's take our glass, turn it into stained glass, and finally turn it into stained glass panes. There we go. That should be every single block collected. That took me almost a week. Now you're probably wondering how I even designed a forest like this. I mean, I certainly didn't design every single tree by hand. In fact, the only trees I actually designed were these 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, varying in size, varying in detail. They're relatively similar, but they have enough character that the forest won't feel too repetitive, I don't think. Then what I did is go to a creative copy of our survival world. I turned all 6 trees into schematics and put them in the stamp tool, which allows me to use this paintbrush tool to paint them into the world just like this. It's so cool. It then rotates them randomly and scatters them out to make it look like a real forest. It looks so cool. Let's get a feel for how long building a tree like this is gonna take. Obviously, the Lightmatica schematic is gonna help a lot. Using Lightmatica, we'll be able to go up layer by layer. I think this is the fastest possible way to translate this from the creative testing world into my survival world. Obviously, I'm still placing all the blocks by hand, but this is gonna speed up the process so much. As we go up, the tree gets slightly more dense and there's more blocks to place, but it overall should be pretty fast. There we go. Tree number 1 is in. Looks good. Took about a minute to build. We'll continue this little area over here and see if that carries over for the rest of them. Our first batch of trees is done, and these look really cool, especially when you back up and look at them as one forest or walking inside of them. I mean, it's definitely very different from anything I've ever really seen done in Minecraft before, but I think that's why it's so cool. I think in between tree builds, I'll have to have different projects to work on, such as probably covering this wolf farm kind of soon. But for now, let's continue building up more of these trees, at least get them wrapped all the way around our inn here. I feel like as I've been going, this is getting slightly faster. I'm getting a little bit faster at placing all these blocks down. The biggest bottleneck is the size of my inventory. Thankfully, this isn't the kind of project where there's 100 different block types. I'm using like something like the city, for example. And having all the blocks already collected like this means I can sort of just be in a flow state where I'm just placing blocks, zoning out, or watching some sort of YouTube video in the process. Gonna feel that way once we're about 50 more trees in? Probably not. We are actually really starting to make a dent here. I mean, this is a lot of trees, and I built all of these within the last 24 hours. It hasn't been too bad. But before we work on anything else like the sheep farm, I at least want to get the forest all the way to our castle. That shouldn't take too long at all. Here it is. We've got this side of the river fully built up with trees. After we have all of the trees up, I'm going to go back through and add all the ground details, a bunch of bushes, a lot of foliage. But for now, this is pretty good. But I would like to take a little break from building trees to work on fixing the eyesore that is our sheep farm. I don't want to get done with this whole forest and then have this ugly thing sitting out in front. I don't really have a plan for this build at all. I'm really just going to try to wing it. And believe it or not, 7 shoulder boxes of yellow wool barely makes a dent in these shears, I guess. That's pretty nice. I think the best way to start is going to be outlining it with mangrove logs. All right, now let's work out these walls. We're starting with something like this. And actually, I think the roof is gonna go something along these lines. Okay, here's what we've got so far. This is definitely interesting. It's a pretty different style than the castle, to be fair, but also the color scheme is gonna make it match together pretty well. And I know we're not really to the detail phase yet, but I can't resist at least doing a little bit. Yeah, that adds a lot. Now let's test out the roof pattern. I'm just gonna start normal and then add the detail on top. I wanna have these kind of stained lines going down the thing like this. I think think that's actually pretty cool. And then we'll break up this blackstone as well with some of the regular blocks. Yeah, I think that'll be pretty cool once we copy it across. Okay, here we go. We've got more of the basic foundation for this build set up, and it's looking pretty good. It covers the wool farm very well, but we gotta work on making something else down here. We're basically gonna go for the same style, just turn it 90 degrees so it looks more like this. I think we've got the basic layout here. Let's add the details. Of course, I'm gonna throw in the door down here, and I kind of want to put up a sign, and we're gonna make it out of these black boxes, which is gonna take a while to get right. Hey, look at that. That's super cool. I want to add some like canisters or silos full of wool, and I think maybe they can go in front of it. Here you go. We got these 3 big silos here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill each of these full of cyan, and there's even gonna be wool spilling out of them. Oh yeah, look at that. That is actually really cool. It really makes this thing very clear that it's a wool farm and not just some random building. And one last thing to finish this build off, I want to make sure the path runs all the way past it, so let's quickly build that up. I grinded out the first half of the forest, honestly probably the smaller part of the forest, but it's just such a cool environment. I mean, the trees on their own look a little strange, but in a forest like this, they really all come together in a really cool way and create something I've never really seen done in survival Minecraft before. But as you know, that's only half the forest. The second half is my favorite part, with all the paths winding through it and the pond in the heart of it. It's gonna look so cool, and it's gonna completely transform this view of the city, pretty much hiding this less desirable side of the castle as well as the back sides of all the houses. And it's pretty much gonna come all the way up to the wool building here. I'm feeling super motivated right now by how cool this is looking. I want to just grind it all out, see if I can finish this entire half in one single day. This is gonna be such a major grind, but I'm so excited to see how it turns out. We can now see that yellow wool of all things is my second most placed blocks, only behind grass blocks, and it might honestly overtake it before the end of this, which is actually crazy. And I'm kind of realizing now the ground details might take just as long as the trees do. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Okay, looks like 3 trees to go. We are so close. I can't wait. It's time for the final tree. Looking back at the replay footage, it looks like I spent about 8 or 9 hours building these trees over the last couple days. There we go. All the trees are officially complete. And when I started this region, this is the picture I had in mind. This city and this castle surrounded by this dense golden forest with all these yellow fall leaves. Of course, we are nowhere close to done. The most important part of getting this forest to look good is adding all the ground details, all the foliage and plants and stuff like that. Obviously, we were gonna have to collect more materials for that. Hopefully, it won't be as bad as the trees. It won't be, don't worry. I've got this supply kit here of different items I'm gonna be using for this. So let's figure out what I'm kind of trying to go for here. I'm gonna start by putting some coarse dirt around the bases of trees. It's a really good way to kind of meld them into the terrain, I think, and is relatively simple to do. I want the ground to be extremely vegetated. That might involve some tall grass or even some moss. But I think moss is something that'll look pretty cool and is a good way to spread the grass as well. Okay, we've got the ground layer in here. Now let's figure out how I'm gonna make these bushes. I kind of have it in my head that I'm gonna have mangrove roots covered in leaves, sort of like this. I'm not positive though. And then I'd have like some lighter leaves like this color. Okay, yeah, that could actually definitely work. Let's add a few more of that type of thing into this area. Okay, I think it's gonna look something like this. This looks really cool actually. And then I want to have flowers. I'm gonna go mostly for the tall flowers and putting them in patches like this, trying to pay attention to where the light kind of shines through, because that's obviously where the flowers would grow in real life. And we're also gonna throw in some of these pink petals because these are super cool. And there you have it. This area is a perfect model for what we're gonna do with the rest of the area. Obviously we'll add a bunch of unique features throughout the whole place, but for the most part this is what the average vegetation looks like for this kind of forest. I decided, because it's my forest, so I can decide. I have this area mostly vegetated on the ground here. You can see all the bushes now, the tall grass, and the flowers, just making it super dense, and overall a lot more like a natural forest. And I want to continue that on the other half of the forest. However, I think a better approach for this side will be working on the unique details first, like fallen trees or little builds inside the forest. One thing I do want to do, I think, is add a couple of crop fields. I think they could look good over here, especially on this empty area next to the path. So let's do that quickly. I'm going to do a very classic thing for me, which is to make just some rough circles out of a stone type, making some ruined looking walls. And jumping ahead, here's how it turned out. Not bad. It's a great place for me to harvest carrots and kind of explains how the villagers get their food, I guess. Are you... Oh my gosh, no. Maybe what we'll do with this clearing instead is put a campfire in the middle with a few different benches surrounding it. There we go. Nice and simple. This looks good. Well, on the theme with the campfire, how about we set up a small tent up here as well? Whoever's camping up here is right on the edge of this cave. Hopefully they don't mind. Inside the tent, we can place a few essentials like a place to sleep, a chest you can totally open, and a crafting bench. There we go. Everything you need to survive in the wilderness. Right next to a city and a castle. I mean, there's an obvious problem that mobs can literally spawn on all of these trees, which is not normally how Minecraft trees work. So hopefully we don't get dive bombed by some sort of creeper, but I think we'll be okay. Hopefully. One last detail I keep forgetting to add is, of course, this bridge stretching across this river next to our castle. There we go. Something nice and simple for the time being. And with this bridge complete, I think that means we've done it. I spent a lot of time off camera vegetating every single last bit of this forest, and it has completely transformed the look and atmosphere and just overall feel of this area. It's so cool. It feels weird to say I'm done because I've been working so hard on this for months and months and months, and of course there's always more stuff we can do. The village is still totally undetailed, but that'll just be an off-camera thing from time to time. But what I really have been waiting to do is to turn on shaders, and wow. Explore this forest with shaders on. My favorite shot of this area is definitely looking from the pond. The pond is framed out so well by the trees and all these bushes. This is probably the coolest single shot in all the area. It's so interesting how this can feel like an entirely new area with all these trees added. And you might remember at the very start of this series, I talked about the color theory I had in mind for this area. I intentionally had the cool greens and blues at the surface level and then the browns and grays for the buildings, so they'd really stick out against the bright yellow and the bright warm red of the castle. And it creates a really cool and unique contrast I've never really seen in other Minecraft builds. But hey, thanks for all the support in 2024. It really means the world. And if you made it this far, I'm sure you're already subscribed. I'm so excited to step up my video production even more in 2025. I'll see you there.